Welcome to the BOR or Bust podcast. I'm Daryl Henry. I'm here with Nick Aube. I am undercover this week in Hilton Head, South Carolina. That's why the background looks a little bit different for those of you that are watching this. For those of you that are only listening to this, you just have to believe me that I have a beautiful view of the ocean right now. So this week, topic we want to get into is talking about cold calling, and specifically when you hear rejections, what are people actually rejecting? Because it makes it hard for all of us when we hear the same things. Like, I'm happy with my broker. I just renewed. My broker's my brother, my cousin, my mom, whatever. It's really hard to overcome. And the scripts that we're given in the industry, they kind of work, but they're very salesy. And sometimes they just miss the whole point of what the prospect is trying to tell us. So that's what we're going to dig into. What is the customer actually rejecting when they say no in cold calling? Nick, my man, how you doing this week?
Dude, I'm doing good. Two things.
Yeah.
Hilton Head. I love Hilton Head. Absolutely love Hilton Head. My in-laws live down there. It is absolutely beautiful place. Enjoy the time down there. The other thing, you were saying a lot about scripts and what the industry teaches us and all that. I think what you were trying to say was the scripts out there blow. That's what it really comes down to. They're terrible. Now the reality is the scripts are bad and we could pick them apart. But the reality is the sales process is what needs to change first, because if you change the sales process to produce an outcome that the prospect wants, a premium negotiation strategy, your script actually gets easier because you're solving their problem. So too many people try and fix just the script, but they don't address the actual real problem. The root of it all is the sales process. And that's why you get call reluctance. That's why people don't want to make calls, is because nobody wants to go through the process, brokers or prospects. Who wants to sign up for 90 days of a brutal experience for 90 days as a broker just to get rolled? And then if you're a client, really? 90 days, info gathering, this invasive questions, follow-up process, everything just to find out your broker is going to beat the pricing? So the process is terrible. That's why nobody wants to go through it. And that's why there's a lot of objections. And that's why there's a lot of rejection. And that's why there's a lot of people that don't make calls. So change the sales process first. That alone will solve a ton of your problems. The other piece is there's the 90-day, what's I'm looking for? All of a sudden I picked up some noise and I got distracted. I'll get back on topic or back on 90 minutes. You can make 40 to 50 calls. So you take the 90 minutes, you do it as your first thing. The first thing that you do, 2 40-minute sessions, 20 to 45-minute calls per session, set a timer. That's going to create some urgency, and then eliminate all distractions. First thing you do, once you get into your email to try and get back in and cold call, it's game over. And you can't even deal with objections or overcome objections if you're not making the calls. So change the sales process, produce a different outcome that'll make the calls more exciting, more people say yes. Then you get into the how to make the call, 90 minutes. And there you go. And then we'll get into the objections. I don't even know if I answered your question.
Well, you did, because I asked you how you're doing. And I know in your mind, you're always thinking BOR. And so you told me exactly what was on your mind. So, yeah.
Oh, I'm doing fine.
Oh, good. I was worried about
I'm doing better than fine. I'm doing great, man.
I know it. I know it. All right. So there's a couple of things in there that I want to hit that I think are really important. One, I don't know how much we're going to get into it today, but when you talk about setting time to do the calls and actually setting time block, shutting everything down, I think there's a couple things in there that are really important, because I know I get derailed with it. It's like you say shut down everything. And I think that's so important. You got to shut down email. You got to shut down social media. You have to totally block out everything. And you can't even send like follow-up emails. I know that's something that can create bunny trails for me when I'm cold calling, is somebody will say, hey, can you email me something? Which we'll talk about that objection. but the desire is in that moment to go ahead and send that follow-up email. But the thing is, that eats out a chunk of your cold calling block. And it's really, really
Yep.
important to stay true to your cold calling block. The other thing that's really important, and I think there's people have different thoughts on how to do it, but when you get someone on the phone that actually wants to talk, the initial desire is to want to pause and have a conversation with that person. But I think one of the things that
Yeah.
you taught me and is really important is you can't do that. You have to tell that person, "Hey, I really wanna have this conversation, but right now, this is my cold calling block. I gotta stay focused on this, and I wanna do you the justice of being really prepared for that conversation, and right now, I'm not ready to do that. Can we talk at either this time or this time?" And that's how you hit volume. You hit volume by eliminating distractions. Did I miss anything there?
Yeah, that's not what I said. I said no, that's part of what I said. You can do it. You can take the call live, but you have to account for it, and that's where most people miss. That's the part that I would add, right? Because then this is why I recommend setting a timer, because when you set the timer, it creates urgency, and you look at that and you go, "Okay, here we go. I gotta get 20 to 25 calls." Ideally 25. I say 20 just to let some people off the hook, but ideally you're shooting for 25. But so you have a timer going. Now somebody wants to talk. It's like, "Ooh, what if I want to talk? Like, I don't want to give this time," because here's what happened. I used to do that. And then I would take the call and I wasn't as focused because I see my timer going. And then I'm like, this lead isn't actually that great. And now I'm stuck in this conversation. I see my time. So now I'm at the end of my first block and I made 5 calls and I had a terrible conversation with somebody. So there's 2 schools of thought: speed to lead, take the lead right away. If you're ready, that's fine. If you want to do that, but you have to account for it. So now instead of a 90-minute prospecting block, each of those, let's say you set two 15-minute calls in a 90-minute session. So you actually need 2 hours, probably 2 hours and 15, 20 minutes, because there's a buffer, right? Because you have this transition. Now you're making cold calls and then you're transitioning into the 15-minute call. And then you have to get back into the cold call. So you need more time. You can do it. You just need more time. If you're going to do it outside of it, you just have to be ready. You have to have the answer ready when someone says, "Hey, what's the deal? Let's talk now. I'm ready to go." Hey, I appreciate you saying that. Honestly, I had just a few minutes to make a call, a few minutes to call you. I'm in the middle of a few other things, but I can talk later today at 1, or I could talk tomorrow at 3. Right. So that's the answer every time if you're not planning on taking the calls. And the reason is, right away because you've made the decision ahead of time. If you're taking the calls, then you have the block available. You're expanded it so you can take it. If you haven't, if you decided not to expand the block, then you're not taking the calls there and you're going to push them out. So you have the answer ready. That's,
That's great.
yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Now, the other thing you were talking about that is all about managing the objections is you fix the process. Can you talk through what is a customer thinking and feeling when they get a call from an insurance broker based on how they've been conditioned by the industry?
Yeah. I mean, the minute you say insurance, they're like, okay. They assume they know what you do. So they're like, "I've been through it before. I've done a coverage review. I've gotten quotes. I've done all this stuff. I'm all set." Their immediate thing is all set because they think they know how it works. Like if I say used car salesman, what do you think of? Right? You have an image in your head. Everybody has an image in their head. Typically, it's not good. That doesn't mean there's not good used car salesman people out there, but the idea is you're already making assumptions about that person because you've heard other things, right? So the idea is we have to get around that. Now, most objections come from the wrong setup. That's where most objections come from. So if you have the right setup, you're actually going to eliminate most objections. And so the idea is when we talk about changing the process, delivering a custom premium negotiation strategy, you now get around most objections because the setup is different. What you're doing here and is you're changing the deliverable. So everybody wants to create value and differentiate themselves. Well, the way you do that is to actually have a different process. You have to actually be different. You can't say you're different and then cold call and say, "Hey, I'd love to get some time on your calendar and go through how I might be able to help you." That's what do they get? And of course you would love time on their calendar. You're trying to sell them something. Right? Like,
Wouldn't.
why do they yeah. Oh, I'd love to get some time on your calendar and rake you over the coals. You free tomorrow at noon? It's like, dude, that's what they're thinking. When they hear insurance, they think you are going to screw them over. You're some slimy person, whatever. Now you could sit there and say, well, then they're not an ideal client. And if they don't respect the industry, they have no reason to respect the industry yet because nobody's given them one. And coverage is not enough to get them to respect the industry. So the setup is wrong. So you have to set it up by creating value. The most valuable thing you can do is solve their problem. That's giving them that custom premium negotiation strategy. You want the best deal? Here's the answer. I'll give it to you. I'll build it for you. Here's the rules of the game. Now, the other thing is, in order to differentiate yourself, you have to do that. You have to create a different experience. So the experience has to feel different. A 15-minute phone call allows you to stand out and feel different. Everybody, I got to get in person, got to get in person. It's too soon to get in person. You have to make the ask simple and easy for them to say yes to. So you need a different setup and you need a clean ask at the end of it. Hey, there's a new strategy you can use to get the best deal in the market. You have 15 minutes to see if or how it applies. I could do tomorrow at 11 or 3 days from now at 2. What works best? Right? So setup is different, clean ask with clear, actionable steps. And you have to give them 2 options. If you give them anything more than that, they'll panic. They won't know what to do. If you give them anything less, it's just too vague. Hey, are you free? No. Okay. Call you tomorrow.
Oh, it's so true. Yeah, sometimes I take cold calls from people just to be on the other end of it. And I do it as much to observe myself and my feelings and what's going through my brain when I take the cold calls, and then identify what drives me crazy. So I got one the other day, and the first off, it was from a number I didn't recognize, which obviously it's from a cold call. And the person opens the call and says, "Hey, is this Daryl?" It's like, "Yeah." Who's who is this? And then he starts launching into this talk about how utility rates are going up. And I've probably noticed that on my bill. And I'm thinking, well, no, I haven't because my wife pays the bill. She doesn't. But he never pauses to let me get that in. And like 45 seconds into the call, I have no idea what company he's with. I don't know his name. I don't know what he wants from me, and he's still going, and there's no end in sight. For all I know, he could talk for another 15 minutes
Yeah.
about something that I really don't want to talk about. I really don't want to talk about utilities. And so what I do is I just hang up. And I am the
Oh.
person that I hate cold calling because I don't even want to hear it out. But the problem with this guy's whole thing was he didn't ask for my time.
Yep.
I didn't know what he did not clearly explain quickly what he wanted and how it was going to help me. And then he didn't give me the opportunity to get into it.
Yep.
And I really think that those are all the same mistakes that we make when we're cold calling. We cold call about what we think is important. It's not what our prospect thinks is important. And
Yep.
because of that, they're always busy because they don't want to make time to talk about things that they don't want to talk about, right?
Dude, 100%. Think about this. I got some notes. I got multiple screens. Don't worry. I'm paying attention. First of all, I can't imagine you put that bad juju out there, hanging up on somebody in a cold call. I'm like,
Of course I did. I'm
oh
rough.
God, I get the call was bad, but it's like maybe I would have interrupted and say, "Oh, hey, I just got to stop you, man. This really isn't the best time." I'm like, I can't hang up on somebody. They might hang up on me. I did that one time at Comcast. I was screaming at them on the phone, and I'm like, I got to change this. This can never happen again because think about it. I'm on the other end. I'm the one calling. I'm like, so I had to. I'm like, let me change my behavior. Let me get some good karma out in the universe. Law of attraction stuff. Put out there what you want to receive. So the other piece is if I was selling that to you, this is how I'd run it. I know nothing about. I think all you said is utilities, right? Hey, ring, ring, whatever you pick up. Is it? I'm assuming this is Daryl. This is Daryl Sell. Yeah. Daryl, bad time. You got a quick second? No, I got a minute. Okay. I could let you answer. You got a minute?
Yeah, I got a minute.
Sweet, man. Dude, I won't take long at all. There's a new strategy you can use to better negotiate your utility contracts. I wasn't sure if you had 15 minutes later today or tomorrow to just run through it, see if or how this strategy might help you. What
Boom.
works best?
Boom.
Right?
And then as a buyer, I might start going back to say, what are you talking about? Utility negotiation strategy. What is that?
Yeah. And then we'd get in, but now you're into it. You're in the conversation, right? And we'll cover that. I think we'll cover that in a little bit, but I want to hit this, the other piece, the other example on the cold call side. I had a buddy. He owned a real estate firm. I'm selling a house. My wife and I are selling this house in 2019. And I said to him, hey man, I want to sell my house for the most money possible. He didn't sit there and go, well, you know what? Really, in the realtor game, it's about value, and you need to understand and make sure that the realtor knows how to read the contract. And all. He goes, that's sweet. I'll bring my best realtor out to you. When are you free? I'm like, I could do whatever, Monday, Saturday. I forget the day I picked. Awesome. We'll be there. Right. So he solved my problem. And that's what people miss a lot of times with the cold call. That dude didn't solve any problems that you have. And the script that I gave for the utility guy, the assumption is he knows that your problem is that your utility bill is out of control and you don't have a strategy to manage it. In the insurance industry, we have that advantage. We know that. We know every buyer's problem is premium. We know they have no strategy to negotiate the best premium, because if they did, they would never be quoting with multiple brokers, because that actually hurts their chances of getting the best deal. So we have information, we have intel, now we just have to use it.
100%. And so I think that's a great point. It's all about the setup. It's all about where you start the process and where are you trying to lead people and trying to drive them. Because if you're going to try and drive them towards a coverage analysis or some type of risk analysis, that's what your cold call script is going to sound like. And the problem with that is nobody is sitting at their desk thinking, man, you know what? I'm really worried about coverage gaps in my insurance policy. That is so rare. It's so incredibly rare. And if they do have that problem, a lot of times they are proactively reaching out. They are educating themselves. They're going to YouTube. They're going to Google. They are finding ways to get their information, but they're generally not sitting at their desk waiting for that call to come in. When you're cold calling and you're doing outbound, a lot of times people don't have a problem that they're trying to solve. You're trying to inflict pain. You are
Yeah.
trying to create interest. And so what you have to go for is the thing that we know everybody cares about, which is I pay too much. Whatever it is, however much they pay, they think it's too much. It may be a great deal, but they think they pay too much. And the core problem there is they don't have a great way to know if they are or are not paying too much. So if you go straight for that issue, you're going to present something that is universally interesting. They talk about that idea in The Ultimate Sales Machine. It's this big red sales book, right? Is that most people are not in the market to buy what you're selling. In fact, only about 3% of buyers are actually in the market to buy what you're selling. So if you want to create interest, you have to speak to things that everybody is universally interested in, i.e., in the insurance industry, premium. They want to pay less, and there is a way to do that. Is that kind of hitting where you would go with it?
Yeah, dude, it makes a ton of sense, because I've never read that book, but obviously it relates to premium, but I'm equating it to the tax industry, the CPA industry. Dude, I'm not sitting here going, oh my God, I hope a CPA calls me and offers to review my last 5 tax returns. Oh, that'd be amazing. Letting some CPA geek out on my tax forms and come back and tell me, oh, on page 72, there's this. Oh, I hope that person calls me today. No. If I'm thinking taxes, I'm like, not anymore, right? I got a tax strategy. That's part of how I learned some of this. I went through this experience on the tax thing. So I don't experience this anymore, but I used to. What was my thing with taxes? I want to save money on taxes. I don't need some geek getting all excited about the tax code from a review perspective. If you're going to get excited about the tax code, tell me exactly what's the roadmap to legally and ethically pay the least amount in taxes. And then let me make educated decisions around which spot I want to choose. I'll do that one. I'm not going to do that one. I'm comfortable here. I'm not comfortable here. That's what's missing in the insurance industry. People have no insight to how the market works. They have no insight to how to negotiate the best deal. They feel like they have no control over what levers they can pull. And so what happens a lot of times too is most people are mistaking They're mistaking, how do I want to say this? They are mistaking buying signals for objections.
What's
That's
that
what's
sound
happening.
like? What's that sound like?
So somebody would say, okay, and they're taking it as rejection, right? Oh, they cold call somebody and says, oh no, we're already shopping with multiple brokers. That's actually a buying signal. Most people say, well, I guess I can't get in the mix. It's too late. Missed the opportunity there. I guess I have to call earlier next year. Or they'll say, well, that's a terrible prospect. I don't want to be around them. They're price shopping. No, they're actually looking to solve a problem. So the prospects are going to say, really, there's three things that they're going to give you. They're probably rarely going to give you the third, the deepest layer, the deepest level of what they want. The top two that they're going to say are, it's going to be an action. I'm taking an action. I'm taking some sort of action. I am quoting with multiple brokers. I'm meeting with multiple brokers. I'm interviewing multiple brokers. We're looking at options, right? It's an action. Or they're going to say, I want to save money. I need competitive rates. My prices are too high. My rates keep going up. I need rates to go down. Something in that form, like the premium, like the savings section. So there's an action or there's some sort of savings. But the deepest layer, the deepest level of what they actually want is they want to get the best deal and they have no idea how to get it. And they can't even articulate that. That's the biggest opportunity with any of these prospects is to help them see that. And so what happens is when you cold call, people are getting those things and they're seeing it as an objection or a roadblock. Hey, I'm just looking to save money. Wow, I don't want to quote. Right? Unless they're a quoter or a strategic quoter, then they get a little excited. They're like, oh, great, I can do that for you. But if you're on the BOR side of the quadrant, you're only winning on BOR. People are skeptical. If you're in that pain finder quadrant, you're like, I don't know, man, maybe it's the wrong prospect. I want somebody who values my value add services, my coverage. The reality, though, is that is your way in. That's a buying signal. They're trying to solve the problem. So here's the framework to get them, to move them through and get the 15-minute meeting. I assume you are looking at options because you want to make sure you're getting the best deal every year. Is that right? Yes. They're going to say yes. Dude, that's exactly right. That's why we're looking at options. We got to make sure we're getting the best deal. Great. There's a new strategy you can use to make sure you're getting the best deal every year. You have 15 minutes to determine how it applies to you. I can talk tomorrow at 11 or Friday at 3. What works best for you?
It works so much. And if you pause and think about what somebody is thinking when they're getting that cold call, you can start to understand why it works and why it's appealing because even when they feel that pain. So let's say that person's gotten a call and they picked up, they've probably said something along the lines of, hey, I'm getting ready to go into a meeting. Or, I just renewed. And they're saying that because in their mind, they're thinking, I really don't want to talk about this because I've gone through this process before and it sucked. It took me 90 days. I didn't actually get what I wanted. I end up getting in the middle of a rock fight between two brokers. I don't have time for that. I don't want to deal with that at all. It sucked. Just forget about it. And that's the trail that their brain is going down. But at the same time, they're thinking, I really do want to save money. I really do think I pay too much, but I don't know how to get there. And so when you acknowledge that, all right, and I understand that this part sucked, right? It's like, no problem. I understand that you're busy. Not a problem at all. But I understand that most people have this problem, that they feel like they pay too much, but they feel that way and they don't feel like they've got a solution. I can show you how to get what you want without all that pain. Is that worth 15 minutes of your time? And so it totally short circuits all their expectations of what an insurance cold call sounds like. And on top of that, it's fast and it's respectful of their time. So if you take that and also think about what are the mistakes a lot of us make when we cold call. We take too long to get to the point. We fake familiarity. So like going back to my utility guy, he pretended that we were friends. Like, hey, how you doing? It's like, I know this guy doesn't care. He doesn't care if I'm having a good day. My mom could have died. He wouldn't care. He really doesn't care. So we fake familiarity. We take forever to get to the point. We talk for 45 seconds. We talk about ourselves We say, well, I got this agency. We've been in business 100 years and we've been doing this and we build.
Instantly.
What's that?
I said asleep instantly.
It's like, I don't care. Why? You're thinking, why do I care about you? I care about me. Like, this is a core principle of getting along with people is people generally don't care about you. And we
Yeah.
spend a lot of time worrying about what other people think about us, but we really shouldn't, because what most people are thinking about is themselves.
Yep.
And so when you take that knowledge of human nature and just say, hey, I know that's what I'm stepping into. My cold call has to take that into account, which is they are thinking about themselves and their problems. If I can introduce a way for them to solve that problem in a way that's not going to be painful, they might be willing to give me 15 minutes.
Dude, 100%. And the reality is they don't necessarily know how to say it. So they're going to say stuff that's like, oh, I'm quoting, assuming you get past the busy thing, right? But they're like, oh, I'm already quoting. The hang up is that's where people shut down. So you have to go back in for it. I'm assuming you're taking that action. You're quoting because you want the best deal. Is that right? Yes, there's a better strategy you can use. But again, to your point, keep it brief, keep it simple. So after that, you go right back in for the ask. You have to go back in for the ask. So I want to say it one more time because this alone will change anybody's cold call script. Anything that you say from the prospect is their version of the premium, or the prospect says to you is their version of their premium problem. We know the root of the problem is that they don't know if they're getting the best deal, that it's going to surface in a bunch of different ways. But the actual root of it is they don't know if they're getting the best deal. So all you do is you take their surface level pain, you repeat it back to them, and you say, I'm assuming you are quoting with multiple brokers because you want the best deal. Is that right? Yes, it's right. Great. There's a new strategy you can use. 15 minutes to determine how it applies to you, what works best. Thursday at 2, Monday at 11. It is that simple. Like, that's it. Like, it's so simple to actually go out and execute. Now, you mentioned something else, talking too much. That is massive. Shut up. Do not talk. Well, okay, that would be bad. Cold call.
Just breathe heavily.
Yeah, so you're like, okay, you have to
tongue.
talk some. Don't take somebody out there taking notes. Okay, no talking. So I just dial and I don't talk. No, you have to talk some, but don't talk too much, right? And the point is, in and out, you are interrupting their day. You want to get in, get out, and you want to schedule it for some other time, ideally, right? That's the goal. So I noticed this with my mom. My mom calls me. My mom calls, I pick up, even though if I'm doing something, right? Because like my mom, like now, my intention sometimes is that I'm going to pick up, but I'm not necessarily available to talk in that moment. Right. So it's like, hey, what's going on, mom? You all good? Yeah. Okay, great. Let's set up some other time to chat. Here's my booking link, mom. I'm free in a few weeks.
Honey, what's this Calendly thing?
So no, but the idea is I noticed this. I don't even think she meant to do this, but she just did two different things like within a week span. One time she called me and it was about like holidays or something like that, getting together for Christmas. And it was like early. It was like August or September, something like that. And my mom, she's always thinking ahead. She's always planning. And I appreciate it. I respect it. You know what it was? We were setting up an Airbnb for the summer and it was like January. Something like that. And so she calls and she starts asking all these questions. Like she just got right into it. So I'm like, hey, mom, what's going on? She's like, hey, I was looking at weeks for the Airbnb in August. I wanted to know, what your thoughts were, if you guys could make it. And I felt myself kind of shutting down. I'm like, because there's too much. It was like she interrupted my day. I wasn't ready for that. I was willing to chat with her and say hi and pick up, but I wasn't like ready to stop what I was doing and look at my calendar, do all these things, right? And so I kind of gave her some weak answer. Even though I was actually genuinely like appreciative and grateful that she's willing to set this up and she's getting my family together, our kids together, my sister, her kids, my dad, her, like, but I gave her some weak answer because I was just like I wasn't ready for it. So I'm like, yeah, I mean, we could probably make something like that work. Like, I'll get back to the dates, right? Don't worry. I called her later and said, hey, my bad. I'm excited. She called me like a week later about something else. It might've been the same thing. But she called me. She said, hey, what's going on? She's like, I wanted to see if you had 10 minutes later tonight to pull up your calendar so we could sort through this thing and figure out the dates. Oh, yeah, that would work perfect. I can do this time. The kids go to bed at this time. If you want, I can call you then. We could say hi with the kids, or I could just call you after. Just what works best, Ma? So you tell me. So, but because she handled it that way, my answer was much different. Because it was like she respected my time. And I don't know, I don't think she went, I don't think either of these were like, oh, I'm going to do this. I think it just happened to be the moment. But I noticed, I'm like, okay, well, that's what's happening on a cold call because you're interrupting someone's day. Hey, there's this, because the reality is I was excited about that trip. I wanted to go. I want my girls to be there. I want my wife to be there. But when she just started going into it, I was like, I can't handle this right now. But when we set up time, I was willing to make the time, talk about it, and we got it done. We said, okay, these weekends would work. Let's pick that weekend. We'll put it in the calendar right now. So that's the key. When you go into these things, you have to be thinking they are busy. I'm interrupting their day. They don't want to spend a lot of time with me. And the minute you start talking too much, they're done. They're going to shut down.
Yeah, if we're being honest with ourselves, I know reasons why I have done things like that when I've cold called in the past is it kind of comes out of desperation and it comes out of frustration and it's this feeling of, oh my gosh, let's say we're doing everything Nick tells us to do. We sit down with the timer. We're gonna bang out 25 calls, and there's been 17 where it's gone nowhere. One person called me a mouth breather. One person said I talk too loud and I'm way too uppity. And I'm beginning to think this session's a bust. And this person's not totally blowing me off. And so start leaning too hard into the conversation. And it comes out of that fear that nothing's good is going to happen. And so things that help me recalibrate in that moment in when I'm starting to go that way. One, I have my wife gave me this thing called a damn it doll, which is basically like a plushy doll that I can slam on the table between calls, but it helps me get the frustration out and then come back and refocus and say the next person I'm going to talk to, this is going to be their mindset. I have to be patient and considerate with that person because if I do not come across as patient and considerate, if I come across as pushy, they are going to lean back and they're going to want to get out of the conversation.
Yep.
So you have to show up and be considerate. And so whatever you have to do to be balanced between those calls, have music go I sometimes like having music going on in the background just because that helps me stay even keel. I got my damn it doll. I got this what's the green slime thing from Ghostbusters? I got one of those from as a you know the green ghost that vomits slime from Ghostbusters? You know what I'm talking about?
I don't think I ever saw it.
You never seen Ghostbusters?
I don't think so. I
Oh
was
man.
watching Full House and Boy Meets World.
Well, those are classics too. But anyway,
Never
I got
Ghostbusters.
one of these dolls at a shoot at an arcade. And I won a bunch of tickets and my son wanted to spend my tickets. I said, "No, boy. I won the tickets.
It's
This
your own
time
tickets,
I'm
you punk.
buying the I'm buying the toy. I'm getting this." So I got what I wanted. And so I'll sit there, I'll squeeze that thing while I make cold calls. But it's all so important so that you can stay even keel when you make these calls so people don't feel like you're breathing and sweating all over them when they pick up your phone call. It's almost like they gotta pick up your call and be like, wow, this dude's interrupting me, but he's chill. This is easy and he's
Yeah.
being respectful of my time. He's gonna get in, get out. Right.
Couple questions for you. Did you win Dad of the year you didn't let your kid use your tickets?
Oh yeah. And I left the plaque in the box.
Yeah, perfect. And then I'm just picturing you in between cold calls beating the piss out of this doll, smacking it all over the table.
It's fantastic.
Oh, I've never done that. That's interesting. So think about this. This is where my mind went with it. And I got to check my math on this. I did this the other day, but I want to verify the math. Because it's easy to get frustrated, right, with the no's and all that. And that's what people, they shut down, they stop making the calls. But a couple of things. What you're thinking is actually going to help you set more meetings, is actually going to hurt you from setting more meetings. Talking more is actually going to hurt you. So talk less and just ask the question and just follow it on repeat like that. Like, just here's the framework. Here it is. Now, again, when you set it up correctly, in theory, you'll get less pushback, less objections. But let's say you follow that framework that we mentioned in the beginning, a 90-minute session, you do that 5 days a week, you're going to hit 200 to 250 calls. Let's call it 250 calls. Average cold call percentage, right? Average in any industry is about 1 to 3%. What we've seen with the people that we're working with inside the group is about 5 to 10% because they changed the setup, right? And look, I don't have that print like a document scientifically reviewed, like no, but that's just the calls that I'm on and what I'm hearing. That's ballpark what I hear. So let's just we'll just run it at 3%. Let's say you're running a normal script and you're the best of the best. 7.5 meetings. That's what you're going to set. So that means you're going to hear no. In 1 week, you're going to hear no 242.5 times. The half is probably the follow-up, right? Let's say now we run it. Let's say we're hitting 7.5%, the middle of our version. You're going to set 18. That seems incredibly high, but 18 meetings. I guess that makes sense. I've had guys make 90 calls a week and set 9 calls. That's about double. But anyway, minus 250. Sometimes you sit here and you forget how high the numbers are. Like, that's a lot, right? We want 5 to 10 meetings. So sometimes it doesn't even take 250 calls. You're still going to hear no 230 times. So the no's, they matter less when you think about it that way. Like, think about how many times you're actually going to hear no in a week. It's like that's the expected response. Statistically, that's the response. I'm just checking my math. Yeah, 18. Anyway, I'm like, I don't believe that. So, but the concept there is, but the math's right. I just jump in 2 weeks ago. He made 40 calls in the first 2 days. He hit on 3, so it was 7.5% in his first 40 calls. Right? The numbers are right. But anyway, I'm like questioning. I'm like, but the point is, you're going to hear no all the time. That's okay. That's part of the process. That's part of the system. We account for that. It's like, okay, of course I'm going to hear no. That's why I need to have the volume. And what happens a lot of times is people, they're hearing no, but their volume isn't there. And so if your numbers are off, right, maybe your percentages, maybe you're hitting on 0.005 or whatever, 0.5%. If that's your real data, quit pretending you're going to hit on 3% or 5%. You have to run it off of that. And so then your volume needs to go up. So typically it's like yes, you're doing it right if you hear no. It's actually the right way to go. That means, all right, it's working. But yeah, but the yeses are they're much smaller compared to the amount of no's. Like, it's not even close. It's not like it's even 50-50 or like it is so far apart. But that's why you hear no all the time.
And I think one of the reasons why people's numbers go up when they go into the group, this is just speaking from experience from having worked a number of different sales systems. A lot of insurance sales systems are complicated and cumbersome, and they are hard to execute.
Yeah.
And so they'll get you in there and they'll say there's 35 objections that you're going to hear over and over again, and you need to have your objections memorized for each of those your counters for each of those objections memorized, and you got to be able to do it at the drop of a hat. Well, that's a lot to memorize. That
Yeah.
requires a lot of practice, and if you don't get it right in the moment, that can be discouraging. And so, if it's not a system that you trust is going to work and that you feel like you can execute, you're going to get in the moment and you're going to wilt. It's going to be actually harder to make the calls because you don't trust it's going to work, which means you don't make the calls, which means you don't set the appointments, which is
means in
why
3 years you're a banker. Even though you've been in the game 10 years, you built the book, you've had success, you just can't hack it anymore because you're like, I just can't do it. We see that all the time. People built a book, they're highly successful, but yet they're just done. They can't seem to figure out how to grow. So either they sit there and their soul dies on the inside and they just become basically a glorified, highly paid account manager who takes people golfing because they're not actually out doing the thing that they got into the business for, which is selling, or they leave and they go become a commercial banker, relationship manager. right? So the prospecting it's like the lifeblood of the roles. It's called producer. You want to produce. And so if you're getting sucked in to too much service work and you're not making the time for prospecting, you're not going to be doing the thing that you love and you're going to die inside. And then you're definitely not going to win dad or mom of the year because that's going to show up at home. Right. And so the idea behind it is prospecting is key. And what's most likely keeping you from prospecting is the process. It blows. There's no other way to put it. And it keeps you busy doing service work because you're like, I'll just do that instead. Even though you don't want to do it. You'd rather be selling. You know, not that you don't care about the clients, but come on, but we all love new. That's what you want, right? It's like, that's what drives you. That's what's exciting. And when you're getting new business and new opportunities, you actually are better at the service because you're showing up better because you're not dead inside. Yeah. We could go, that could be a whole episode. Do you want to talk about the objection, the actual framework? I've got notes on that.
Yeah, go in. Let's do it. Let it rip.
I should say notes. And people probably think I'm reading off a prompter. It's not that. I prepped for this thing, and it's like there's some key points I want to hit. There's basically
you care about the product. You care about the product. You want give the people what they want, Nick.
That's right.
Come on.
Oh, you got to prep. Professionals. We are professionals. We got this. So, okay, let's say we talked a lot about getting objections, right? We haven't even talked about how to handle objections yet, because a lot of the objections will go away if you follow the framework that we laid out. The setup, change the setup. Actually recognize that most objections are buying signals. I assume you're doing this because you want the best deal. Is that right? Great. Clean ask. There's a new strategy you can use to get the best deal. You have 15 minutes. Tuesday at 11, Thursday at 3. Clean, strong ask. You're not going to talk too much. Now, if you get an objection or any pushback or even a reply, that's not an objection, right? It's just maybe a question from them. There's two ways you can handle these things. You can isolate the objection or their question, the objection. We'll call it objections just to keep it simple. Isolate the objection, or you can diffuse the objection. Both work. On cold calls, I kind of prefer diffusing it and just moving past it. I like to save isolating the objections for the closing calls. But the two processes, the two frameworks are, if you're going to diffuse it, you would say, let's say the objection is, we're already shopping the market. Cool. Right? That's what they say. Hey, I'd love to meet, but we're already shopping. Not a problem at all. I'm assuming you're shopping the market because you want to get the best deal every single year. Is that right? You know it's coming. Yes, got to get the best deal. That's why we're shopping. Great. There's this strategy, this new strategy I mentioned will show you exactly how to shop the market so you can get the best deal. What works best for a quick 15-minute call to determine how it's going to apply to your situation? I could do Tuesday at 11 or Thursday at 2. You diffuse it. Not a problem. You blow right through it by saying, I'm assuming this is what you want. This is what you're trying to get. Yes, it is. Okay, great. What? No other issues then. What works to meet? The other is isolate the objection. I don't like it as much in the cold call, but you can do it. Anything outside of you, so you would isolate it, right? So the idea behind isolating the objection is to make sure that that's the actual objection that we're working with. You mentioned earlier the utility thing. Oh, my wife pays the bills. And then you said, well, she doesn't actually. So we would isolate it and make sure that that's the real deal. So let's say, back to the example, we're already shopping the market. Cool. Anything outside of shopping the market, is there anything else keeping you from actually taking the meeting with me? No, that's it. Okay, cool. Well, look, I'm assuming you're shopping the market because you want to get the best deal in the market. Is that right? Yeah, I got to get the best deal. Great. This new strategy will show you exactly how to shop the market effectively so you can get the best deal. What works best for a quick 15-minute call to determine how it applies? I could do Tuesday at 2 or 11, Thursday at 11. Now, the key there is the ask, where most people they get in trouble is they hear the objection, they kind of panic and start answering it, and then they start talking too much. And they drift, and they drift, and they drift, and they drift, and they never get back to the ask. And the prospect says, well, we've been talking for 3 minutes now. I'm all set. I've already, kind of like the example with my mom. Like, we're talking and talking. I'm like, I can't do this right now. Like, can we do this later? Can we set up some time to discuss it later? Now, obviously, it's my mom, so I called her back. but they're not calling you back. They don't owe you anything. So we hear the objection, diffuse it. I like that route. Not a problem. I'm assuming you're getting the best. I'm assuming you're shopping the market because you want the best deal. The strategy will show you exactly how to do it. What works best? The ask is key. You have to ask again. Otherwise, you will drift and you will not set the meeting. Has that been your experience with it, Daryl? Or
100%. When using the line "not a problem" changed my life for a couple reasons. One, I was using a much more complicated system for dealing with objections, and it was harder to memorize everything. It was harder to use in the moment. Whereas my answer right now is everything is not a problem. I also agree that diffusing in cold calls is a better way to go about it because if you're going to try and isolate it, I agree that isolating is better for the closing situation because you're trying to make sure you're dealing with the real thing. But when you're in the cold call environment, you don't want to give them the chance to popcorn reasons they don't want to take your call. Is it like if you say
what?
outside
A
of
popcorn, a raisin?
popcorn ideas? So like,
I've, I don't know,
you
dude. It's like you're speaking a foreign language. I've never heard that. Is that like a Maryland thing?
well, maybe it's just a Daryl thing, but okay. So popcorn, when it's in the microwave, what's it do? It's a pop, 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 right? And
Yeah.
it just, so if you say outside of this reason, is there any reason you wouldn't take it? It's like, well, yeah. Then we start going Festivus for the rest of us with on you about all the reasons I don't want to take your call. So
Right. I agree with you.
th- versus
I
when you diffuse it, one, it's once again, it's getting into that really cool, chill persona that we're trying to have when we're in a cold call scenario, which is not a problem, dude. That's totally fine. It you will one of the risks you have when you're trying to overcome objections in a cold call is you don't want to come across as combative. So you kind of have to lean back. And in Never Split the Difference, he describes it as using your late night radio DJ voice, right? You get low, calm, and steady to put the person at ease that, hey, it's going to be all right. So easy script, no problem. It's not a big deal. Look, even people that feel what you're talking about still have this pain. And I'm just wondering if it might be worth 15 minutes to talk about it. And when you know exactly where you're going to go every time, it's not complicated and you know it works, you're going to feel good about delivering that line over and over and over again, even if it doesn't always work. Because it's not like there's no silver bullet here. Nothing's going to work 100% of the time. But in a cold call environment, you are trying to steer someone to taking a 15-minute call versus trying to get into some type of psychoanalysis about all the reasons they don't want to talk to an insurance broker.
I agree with you. I like diffusing here. It's just worth mentioning. There's two ways you can approach any objection. People always say, "What's the silver bullet?" I think there is a silver bullet, and I think this is it. But I think it comes down to setup. I think that's the actual silver bullet, right? It works because. But let's think about why this. Everything comes back to that. What we talked about in the beginning, setup. Why can we say not a problem and actually mean it? That's the thing. If you can't believe it, if you don't believe what you're saying, it's not going to come across as smooth or confident on the cold call, and you're just going to flounder and people aren't going to meet with you. So, why does not a problem work? It's because we set it up correctly. Because we are not asking them to quote, we're not asking to do a coverage review, we're not asking them to go down this lengthy process, nothing is actually a problem. Nothing matters. Nothing. Because all I'm trying to do on the cold call, all we're trying to get across is there's a new strategy that you can use to do exactly what you're trying to do, which is shop the market. There's a new strategy you can use to shop the market in a better way. Do you have 15 minutes to determine how it applies to you? So nothing is actually a problem. Oh, I love my broker. My broker's my mom. My broker's my brother-in-law. We've been with our broker 20 years. We shop every single year. We just shopped. We're shopping. We're meeting with brokers. Not a problem. None of it matters because of what we're delivering. So let's say I was quoting and they said, oh, we've already shopped with 4 brokers. We're shopping with 4 brokers this year. Well, guess what? That actually is a problem. Like, because I'm like, well, I'm going to be the 5th one in line. It's like, hey, you're dating, right? It's like, hey, I got 4 dates lined up, but I'm free Friday if you want to go out. It's like, I'm good. Yeah, I'm all set. You have 4 dates this week? You want me to be the fifth? Like, no. But if I was selling a dating strategy, they got him out of the dating game, by the way. My wife and I, we've been married coming up on 9 years. I can't even imagine going back into the dating pool. But the idea is, if we're selling that, where I'm going with it is, we're selling a strategy, right? That's why it's not a problem. If I was asking somebody for a date and I was about to be the fifth person, it's like, no. But if I was saying, hey, there's a new strategy you can use to effectively date, you can actually eliminate some of those dates and pick the best one. You got 15 minutes to hear about it. I don't care if there's 100 dates. Because what happens is people assume that prospects are bad prospects because they're saying they want to save money. So they label them incorrectly. Price shopper, dirty, nasty, filthy, disgusting price shopper. But it's too soon because they don't have enough information yet. So throughout the process, you have to educate them on the best way to actually buy insurance. And once they're educated, if they still want to shop, then that's on them. They're never going to change and we just run. But if we can actually get them bought in, then there's a potential they say yes. But if they say no, then you can walk away. But it's too soon in the cold call. So the reason not a problem works, I'll land the plane, is because we set it up correctly. So without the proper setup, that objection handling framework doesn't land as well because it is a problem for you if you're in your current environment. So you have to change the setup and then the objection goes so smooth.
That's right. It's not a problem because all the things they're worried about are not actually going to come true. And when you're making this call with this system, you're not trying to get anything out of them at this phase. I mean, obviously, we're trying to get customers, but we are trying to sign people up so we can give them something.
Yes.
We're giving a gift. It's like you don't have to use it with me. There's no commitment here. And I mean, think about all the different types of stuff we buy where it's like free returns, right? 30-day free returns. It's like free trial run. It's like that is, in essence, the principle that we're using here. It's you don't have to buy anything from me. You don't have to pay me anything to get this. I want to give this to you because I think it will make your life better. You can even, this is where I go with it because it helps me get really jazzed up about it. I can feel like it's a missional thing that I'm triggering something inside of me that's really altruistic. I am making these calls because you need to know this because it's going to make your life better. There are no expectations that you're going to do it with me. I do think that once you get done hearing it from me and you're going to realize nobody else has presented it to you, that you're going to say, I kind of like to do it with that guy. But there's no expectations. This is a gift from the bottom of my heart to yours to make your business better. You can do whatever you want to do with it. And that will come across in your cold calls. That will be immediately apparent to the person that's talking to you. It's like, wow, this dude does not sound like the skeezy dude and the skeezy 40 brokers that just called me. He's offering to give me something with no strings attached.
Well, dude, you just nailed it. Everybody says I need to figure out how to create value or differentiate myself. I need to bring value. So the agencies look at these value add services, which are not actually valuable. The best way to create value or to bring value or to show value is to create it. I gave away the punchline there. Create value. That's what you're doing, right? When you say it's from the bottom of my heart, 100% agree. Like, I am creating value for you. And if you create enough value out there in the world, then it will come back to you. And so that's why there are no strings attached. And genuinely, you will help everybody that takes a 15-minute call with you because either you're going to move them through the process and deliver them a custom premium negotiation strategy, or you will disqualify them. They will not be a fit for you. And you'll tell them exactly what they need to do to get the best deal. It is valuable. That's why it works. That's why people are hitting at 5 to 10% on it because they're actually solving somebody's problem and creating value in the world. Hey, I know you want the best deal. The insurance industry is not transparent. Let me show you that. I'm not saying that's the script. Don't run out and use that part of it. But the concept, that's what's behind it. Right? There are truly no strings attached. Every other pitch out there that says, oh, we want to bring value. You're offering things that aren't valuable to the person. Let me show you my telematics and my risk control services and our great claims advisor or advocate. Not valuable to them yet because they haven't connected the dots as to how that helps them get the best deal. Can we do that? Yes. Can we show them how those things help them get the best deal? Yes, but it's too soon. So if you want to create value, solve their problem and give them something for free, for no cost. Here it is. Here's what you get. I'll show you how to do it. And then ultimately, if you want to decide to execute with me, fine. That's the thing. You have to create value. Stop trying to create value and differentiate yourself by giving them agency resources. Nobody cares about your telematics or your debris removal, your ordinance and law coverage. They don't care. That's what's killing you. The setup. It all comes back to setup. The setup is how you create value.
I think that's a perfect place to land the plane. There's so much more we can talk about with cold calling, but we've been going for about 55 minutes. I think at this point, if you like what you hear from this show, hit subscribe. If you're watching us on YouTube, hit subscribe. It'll keep you that'll keep you in tune. If you're listening to us on the podcast, make sure you're following the podcast. We're coming out with conversations like this every week about how to sell effectively by BR in a way that's going to help you hit peak performance, climb that mountain, build the book of business that you want to build, and really be successful.